This is a recording of Zensuon Crystal Age, Chapter 6 No Rest for the Soaked, where we return to our favorite halfling and his horde companion to see how they managed to mishandle themselves in Break City. Mika woke up from his sleep. He was kind of grumpy when he emerged from his slumber. He had the most vivid dream, which is probably the best part of pushing yourself to exhaustion with magic, only to be woken by droplets of water landing on his face. What? He asked in a groggy, I'm still half asleep voice. To no one in particular. Before looking left to Naraka. Looking right to Naraka? No. Forward? He ended up glancing at the previously timid humans, now talking louder and giving him very prominent side glances in return. He averted to look behind him too, in case they were looking there, and he was right. He could see the shore and two other smaller boats that reached safety, managing to escape from the destroyed ship. Alongside the people who fled the destruction, there were other humans in gray blue clothes. A lot of those lined up on the dock. He almost didn't notice them from how they blended into the stone-built pillar. There were about 20 of them in number, it seemed. This is very obviously some kind of uniform, and one of them was holding a spear upright with a flag dangling from it with the same colors. Oh, Break City colors. They're guards. A lot of guards. That shouldn't be a problem. It had nothing to do with the ship's explosion. That was the constructed things. Everyone saw them, and they wouldn't know about my history, right? Besides, every halfling should look the same to humans, because they sure look the same to me. Wait, where's Nur... Mika's eyes widened in horror. Something snatched his face, suffocating him, wrapping over his mouth, holding his jaw with uncomfortable force. The halfling's thoughts, spiked arms, weakly tried to dislodge whatever was tightly locking his mouth and preventing his ability to scream. Was this a sea monster? Is that how he's going to die? They had those here, so close to shore. Am I going to die? Did those golems come for revenge? I swear I only attacked one, it was the orc! Don't kill me! But no sound came out. The halfling's small body was cooled down below the water's surface with a splash. A moment after, a gasp. He somehow pulled up to the surface of the water, though not by his own power. He started gasping for air as he was grappled across his arms and around his chest by something monstrous, something big, something violent, something... Oh, it was Naraka. The halfling visibly relaxed and looked up at the orc carrying him with one hand while swimming with the other. He tried to respond, but as the orc started to speed up, the water started splashing into Mika's mouth. Mika objected. He tried to flail free, but the orc gripped him too tightly. He was no match for Naraka in strength, and he could not concentrate long enough to try any magic. Mika tried to struggle all the way to shore, but eventually, as his joints started to ache and he was hard of breathing, he finally accepted his fate. Filling up on salt water over and over was part of his existence now. That was, until he was violently tossed onto the pier like a dying fish, his arms and legs jerking once in a while. Mika tried to see if he regained a shred of feeling aside from constant, overwhelming pain. He was face first on the ground, and had submitted to this life of pain and cold clothes sticking to his body, weighing him down. On the other side of the duo, the greenskin towered over the laying halfling, dropping him onto a more dingy pier than the one they saw from the boat. Naraka glanced around, seeing no trace of the warrior humans. He brought his axe from his back and put him on his shoulder, the blade by his head's side. The orc looked as if preparing for the guard's arrival so he may face them on land instead of on boat, where he felt more grounded. Naraka glanced down at his heel box. He nudged it with his hand. The heel box did not respond. It was a lot more fragile than Naraka thought. Mika ground, slowly awakening. Naraka grunted in approval. Not broken. He'll keep it around then. Where? Mika pulled himself up by both hands and looked around. The area had long shadows that covered the wooden pier they were on. It made sense with the arrival of late noon Behind him were warehouses of the local greystone, and before him the sea. To both sides he couldn't spot or hear anyone else, but then again he had water in his ears. Mika attempted to unclog his ears, but hitting his palm against his left ear and directing his right ear to the ground. This is stupid. It would take a moment if he could only muster up more magic. The halfling finally glanced up at Naraka, who seemed to be waiting for him. The small man smiled. You finally came around, have you? Mika stood up slowly, pushing himself to his feet via small hands against the cobbles, arduously making sore muscles work. And once he was up on 2 feet, he started his important work of dusting a soaked and ruined once noble's vest. That which he wore, although given the combined water and dirt, it was more flinging and less dusting. We should go to a tavern, get some rest, new clothes, examine the supposedly Grand Baetylus, and see how much we can get for it. The halfling ran down their game plan, slowly recovering to an alright state as he felt he looked less horrible and somewhat more dignified, still cleaning his suit. He may be able to use it to fulfill his needs, Mika surmised, but on the other hand, it can't hurt to see how much it would sell for, right? A few more hired hands to help him force his way back home will be better than a giant Baetylus he can't use. Raka stared at Mika all throughout this. Mika, noticing this, looked up and in turned and sighed. He has no idea what I just said, Mika thought. He can fight and understand civil instruction, but he probably can't understand as much as Thraskian as I thought. Where are you going? The halfling began, only to see Nuraka look up behind the halfling and then begin for the alleyway. Mika looked behind him after that. He could see them, about 10 grey-blue figures in chainmail, marching towards them with intentful steps. And the intent was clearly not peaceful. They must have either seen the big green scheme paddle away or have been told by the boat's passengers. It matters little. Cards are easy to deal with. You shave off some of the statements to make the truth a bit cleaner, some gold to make things clearer, and an investment well made to put all this behind them. Besides, if we run away now, we'll basically be admitting guilt for whatever they're here for. The Baetylus, the incident, and I'm sick of running away from everything already. Hello! How goes your day, gentlemen? Mika yelped as Naraka grabbed him by the scruff of his once noble suit and ran with him back into the alleyways of the variously rectangular warehouse-filled district. As for Naraka, his mindset likely went something like this. Naraka needed his heal box, just like the huge life shard. All of it will lead him to become stronger. Naraka, stop! Now we'll be chased for sure! Mika tried to reason, but reason ran out the door, jumped out of the window, and didn't realize it was on the 3rd floor. Eventually, the small man understood that Naraka is not stopping regardless of protest, and at least they were both losing the guards and getting lost amongst the buildings, or rather the alleyways in between them, some of which could lead wagons through, which the free halfling welcomed, and some of which could barely lead orcs through, which the squeezed halfling did not welcome. The halfling managed another plea. Can you at least run us in the direction of an inn? Why are you slowing down? Mika glanced up at Naraka's tired face and down at the orc's stomach. That's right. I saw it on the boat. Must have been stabbed while taking back the Grand Baetylus. Mika was unceremoniously dropped, though thankfully relatively softly, by the relenting hand of the orc, who seemed to at least value his living cargo to a minimal degree. The halfling tumbled into a comfortable sitting position as the orc dropped with a whoosh next to him. Alright, you rest here. I'll go find us an inn. Just lean on one of the walls, Mika said as Naraka stood up and sat by a wall, leaning on it. So he only listens to me when he wants to? That's better than before, but not quite there yet. He glanced around. They were surrounded by buildings, squared box, all from local stone, it seems, with large wooden doors. The place seemed like it was struggling between being a dump to a place of business, and with the long shadows hiding most of the surrounding, Mika dreaded what must be like during the day. There were clear roads with years of dragging marks on them leading from the large wooden doors to the bigger paths. Other roads were narrow alleyways where Mika could spot rags as well as rotten food artfully mixed with half-eaten one to get the most out of the taste. Wafting over it all was an aroma of something wet and dying, blended with light traces of salt from the nearby canal. Mika allowed his mind to retreat from the smell to something else. It's getting dark, so everyone must be on their way into the city, which explains why everything is closed and silent. Adling turned to the large double wooden doors of the nearby warehouse, looking like doors of a barn. Only the structure of the building itself was stone. I wonder, did they keep guards in overnight? Knock, knock. Hello? Mika asked, and then waited. There was no response. So it seems they counted their locks to say whatever it is they're keeping. Or maybe they think it's safety numbers, that the thief will choose one of the other warehouses around here? Mika stopped wondering. He could go all day thinking, and there'd be no point. Right now he was too tired, so he needed to find a proper place to rest. He glanced down at the lock of the door. It was big and heavy, which would keep away most petty thieves from non-expensive goods, if that is indeed what is inside. He leaned against the door and listened with his ear upon the wood. No sound from the inside as well. Mika glanced around. It is better that the guards don't find Araka here alone. They might kill him and take my bodyguard, or worse, the Grand Baetylus and magic axe that I temporarily keep on my bodyguard. He took in a deep breath. This was a little harder now. He tried to pull magic out once more. His body shuddered, feeling the queasiness in his stomach threatening to climb up to his throat. Luckily for him, the keyhole was simple enough to unlock that he was down before anything other than water and air came out of his mouth. A click. He placed a hand on his head, rubbing its side and groaning. It's a good thing Break City is mainly human populated. Lilacs here can't handle the mastery of a halfling ancestry. Ha! Ha! Ah! Now, now. Gotta keep breakfast down.